Love for you to tell me, have you been practicing your new protein skills, your new protein tasks? Have you been incorporating that? I know some of you have commented on that in the group, on the posts. I'd love to hear if you are and how that's going for you. Like, are you noticing an energy improvement? And one of the group members mentioned, like, yeah, she notices an energy difference on some days, but there are still some days where it's an issue. And that kind of goes to the premise of this whole series, right? There's usually not one thing that is causing the problem. It's usually these little habits that we have to shift and tweak where we can start to feel our best and have our best, have our best health. And that's what we're starting to do. So it's exciting to me that you guys are participating in this, and let's get started. So, like I said, for the last couple weeks, we've been talking about protein, we've been talking about diet, and now this week we're going to shift gears. And we're going to talk about exercise. And some people get totally freaked out when we talk about exercise, but I think we're going to go at it from a perspective that you're not maybe expecting. So, with the clients that I work with, the women fall on one of two spectrums. Either they are totally overdoing it in the gym, or at home or on their home equipment, or they're not doing anything at all. And there's very rarely any gray area. So they're either working out, strength training, 5, 6, 7 days a week, or they're working, strength training 5 days a week and adding in HIIT on a couple of other days, or doing boot camps. And I'm not here to like poo-poo any of those exercise things. I think moving our body is very important. However, I will say this: for 99% of the women I work with, it may even be closer to 100, their bodies are not in a place where doing HIIT is good for them at all, or doing boot camps are good for them, or strength training too much throughout the week is good for them. Like, most women, if you are having symptoms, if you're struggling with sleep, if you're struggling with energy issues, and you're exercising a lot, you may be overdoing it. If you have like irritability, or you have like low motivation, or if you're gaining weight despite all the exercise you're doing, or if you have like frequent illnesses or injuries, you may be overworking out. So I do have a group of women that are my clients that fall into this category. So if that's you, just continue to listen. If you're in the group of women who has a tendency to just not exercise at all, I'm going to say my like, it's usually a 50-50 split. Like, half of my ladies just aren't doing anything. Half of them are doing too much. And we really need to find the middle ground on this. So we like to call exercise, it has the Goldilocks principle, right? So you remember Goldilocks and the Three Bears? One of the porridges was too hot, one of the porridge was too cold, and one was just right. That's how we want to approach exercise. We don't want to do too much. We don't want to do too little. We want to do it just right. And that's individual. And that can be kind of hard to figure out on your own, but you can monitor your symptoms and see how you're feeling, right? So exercise is a stressor. It can be a good stressor or a bad stressor. We want it to be a good stress on the body. So what I usually find is women who are overdoing exercise want to lose weight. Like, they are either, like, I don't want to say punishing themselves, but you get the gist. They're like punishing themselves for something they ate, or they're working off the pizza or the ice cream, or they are just in general, like, they're focused on the eat less, move more, calories in, calories out. That's not what we need to do here. Like, I need to lose weight, so I run harder, but I'm more tired, more anxious, and I'm not losing weight. So that typically tends to be my over exercise girls. The other over exercise girls that I have are the ones that get like that exercise high, or that runner's high, which tends to be, it is neurotransmitters, but it also tends to be cortisol, which temporarily makes us feel good, but it's our stress hormone and it can break our bodies down. And then again, going back to the others who are doing nothing, it's because they're exhausted or overwhelmed, or they simply don't understand the benefits, or they think they don't have time. This was me. I just didn't have time for it. I don't know how to do it. And very all or nothing. Like, if I can't exercise perfectly on schedule, X amount of days per week, then I'm just not going to do it at all. And we just need to take all of those extremes and throw them in the trash. And we just need to focus on movement that nourishes our body. So that's what we're going to talk about for the rest of this call. So our body craves predictable, consistent, and gentle movement. And it doesn't, when I say gentle movement, I don't necessarily mean it has to be like yoga or qigong or anything like that, but just movements that are not um really hard on the body, right? And that's where we're going to start today. And we're not going to talk about strength training today. We can talk about that in the future. Today, we're going to talk about gentle movement. One of the most healing movements that we have, it is the simplest and it is free, and it is walking. So walking is helpful for our blood sugar, especially walking after meals. So studies show that walking after meal can reduce your glucose spike by up to 30%. And if you want to know more about blood sugar and you did not watch week one, you can go back and watch that week one video, because we talked about the importance of kind of keeping a steady blood sugar level. Well, not steady, but not having these big peaks and valleys, not being on this glucose roller coaster. So if after meals we go for a walk, it reduces that glucose spike. Walking regulates the nervous system, so it's good for mood and stress. It helps you fall asleep faster and sleep deeper, and it's really good for our hormones and metabolism. It supports the thyroid, the adrenals, and it supports our overall metabolic health. So I think when people think about walking, especially if they're not power walking, right? I mean, you can power walk, but I'm not talking about power walking. I'm talking about, for me, like a power walk is 4.2 miles an hour. The walks that I go on when I'm going on walks for movement, sometimes I'm looking for that more of a power walk to get in my zone 2 cardio, but generally I'm more of a stroll, like a 3 miles an hour ish, and I'm just guessing based on like my step tracker. But around that, it doesn't have to be this power walk where I walk outdoors. I walk for sunshine, I walk for fresh air, I walk for stress reduction, for all of those things. And that doesn't have to be fast. You do not have to get sweaty to be successful. So the other thing, what I find when I talk about walking, women tend to pull back and go like, well, I don't have the time to go on a 3 mile walk or a 4 mile walk. I don't have time to go on these big walks. And yet I say, good, I don't want you to go on a big walk. Well, what is good for us? So a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us, especially those of us who have like are working from a desk oftentimes, and or in some fashion we're sitting most of the day, and then we go for our walk, and then we're done for the day, and we want movement throughout the day. So neat movement is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This isn't exercise. This is like doing the laundry, unloading the dishes, vacuuming, sweeping, weeding the garden, just those normal daily movements. Those get our steps in too. But when we're talking about walking and going for a walk, my recommendation is generally little steps throughout the day that add up. I would rather have you walk 2 to 3 shorter walks in a day than one long walk. And so, and the way that we start it is we start where you're at. So if you don't have a step tracker, I really recommend a step tracker. Your iPhone, if you carry your iPhone with you when you walk, it will count your tracks if you have your the health app set up for that. An Aura ring, an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, any type of pedometer. It doesn't have to be expensive, just any type of pedometer that can track your steps. And what we want to do is we want to aim for more than you're doing now, assuming you're not at the peak. So ideal, we're looking for 8 to 10,000 steps per day. I mean, like the sweet spot is 10,000, but not everybody's going to do 10,000 steps a day. So I always say 8 to 10,000 steps a day. But if you're currently walking 2,500 steps a day, we want to know that. And we don't necessarily need you to go from 2,500 steps a day and jumping right up to 10,000 or 8,000, right? We want to start where we're at and work our way up. But in order to do that, we need a fitness tracker, a pedometers app, or your phone's built-in step counter. So the way that we want to do this is track your averages for a few days. Like, again, if you're using your phone, I generally don't recommend people keep their phone in their pocket at all times, but if you don't have another way to track steps and your phone will track that for you, maybe keep your phone in your pocket. And we're tracking steps throughout the day. Like, we just want to see all steps from the time you wake up until the time that you go to bed. Take that average over those 3 days and then add 500 to 1,000 steps per day. And this, like I said, will work better if you have a step tracker and you aren't using just your phone. That'll be helpful. And again, what we're looking for here is progress. We're not looking for perfection. We want to build capacity over time. So the way that I started walking, for me, walking was it was kind of a chore. Like, I just couldn't think of, like, between my work And when I was home, like making dinner, taking care of the kids, like, how am I going to get away for 45 minutes to go on a 3 mile walk? That just didn't seem realistic to me. And the reason I say a 3 mile walk is because that is kind of what got me to the 10,000 steps a day. A 3 mile, typically about a mile is 2,000 steps, depending on your stride. So that added 6,000 steps to my day. And I probably got a 4,000-ish, just normal moving throughout my day. So, and I just could not, it's like, I cannot figure out or justify doing this. So do you know how I started walking? I, and it, it's kind of funny, but it worked. So I had an Apple Watch, and I would say, like, okay, I know walking is important. Like, I was sold on walking. I knew it was important. I just couldn't justify the time away, which sounds kind of silly when I say it now, but at the time I couldn't justify my time away. And but I thought I can take 10 minutes away. So I set a 5 minute timer on my watch. I walked out my front door. I walked down the street for 5 minutes until my timer went off. And then I turned around and came home. And I did that once a day, every day. I just said, I have 10 minutes. I can get away for 10 minutes every day. Right. So every single day I did that. And I was like, oh, well, I bet I could do this twice a day. So then I started doing it twice a day. And then I increased to 7 minutes. Like, I set my timer for 7 minutes, which made like a 14, 15 minute walk. So I went from 10-minute walks. Sometimes it was a 15-minute walk, depending on how much time I had. Like, if I was between clients and I only had 30 minutes, but I also had to eat lunch, maybe I eat lunch and just go for a 10-minute walk. The point of me sharing this is every little bit counts. And honestly, going for 10-minute walks spaced throughout your day is has different health benefits and potentially better health benefits than going for one walk that's a 3 mile walk. So it took me a year of doing this to work up to being consistent and getting my 8 to 10,000 steps a day without feeling like it was work. And I really got to look forward to them. And I really started to learn that, like, oh, this is helpful. It was helping me feel less stressed. It was helping to balance my nervous system and regulate things out. I could see little changes in my body. And so that's what I guess I would encourage. I know a lot of times women are like, oh, I need 10,000 steps a day. Okay, so 7 days a week, I'm going to get 10,000 steps a day. And when that doesn't happen, they go, oh, I can't do this, and they quit. And that's not what I want you to do. If you can get one 10-minute walk a day, that's a win. If you can, in a few months, get two 10-minute walks a day, that's a win. And there's still some times where my walk, yesterday, I didn't get any walk at all. I didn't walk at all. My foot is injured. It hurt to walk. And I just said, I'm just going to listen to my body and I'm not going to do it. But I do feel it in the rest of my body that I missed my walk. So getting those steps in, now you can do this outdoors. If you do it outside, the reason I love an outside walk is, one, you're getting sunshine. Two, you're getting fresh air. Three, if you have like woods or trees or forest near you, you can have you heard of forest bathing? You can get that forest bathing in where you're essentially, like, the essential oils, like, like essential oils. Well, these come from nature, right? Essential oils come from nature. So when we walk through the woods, the oils and the fragrances, even if we don't notice them, but if the trees, our body senses that. It's called forest bathing, and it is good for our nervous system. So when we can get outside in the sun, in the fresh air, in the woods, there's all these extra benefits. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you only have a treadmill, and you can do 10 minutes on your treadmill, that's better than nothing. Or if you take little breaks and do 5 minutes here and there on your treadmill, that's good too. What I really want you to, like, hear, or the mindset I want you to break through, is that it has to be perfect and it has to look a certain way. It does not have to look a certain way. Sometimes my steps, I'll take my shoes off, and I don't know if you've heard of like grounding or earthing, but having your bare feet on the ground in your yard, in the grass, in the sand, wherever it is, I'll just take my shoes off and I'll do a couple laps around the yard. Like, see, do the kids have freezy wrappers laying around? Is there, you know what I mean? Just picking up whatever I can find, or seeing if there's weeds that need to be pulled. But I'm not doing that to pick up garbage and pull weeds. I'm doing that to get outside, to get the fresh air, to get the steps, and to get my feet on the ground. So all of these little movements count. They all help. Taking in multiple trips from the car with your groceries, add up steps. Um, Going up and down the stairs with your laundry, not trying to load up your arms with as much as you can to make the trip, just taking those trips back and forth from wherever you're going if you're moving things around. that is helpful. Okay, I'm going to stop prattling on about that now. But so just remember, walking counts. Walking is very important. It's very good for our body. And even 10 minutes in a day will make a difference. Some little tips to make it easier. So I gave you my little hack of going on a 10-minute walk and or setting a 5-minute timer on my watch. But you can go with your kids. I know my son looks forward to, my 9-year-old looks forward to riding his bike when we go. This can be a great time to listen to music or a podcast. Like if music is uplifting to you or soothing to you, that's a great time. Listening to a podcast, listening to a sermon. A lot of times I would listen to a sermon series on my walks. You can do a loop around your neighborhood, any of those types of things. Keeping your shoes like ready and handy and by the front door can be a good reminder. And keeping a sticky note on your calendar, or actually adding it to your calendar. And again, not a way that's like, oh, that's right, I have to do this. It's, oh, that's right, I get to do this. I'm going to do this for my body. So a little bonus, if you're walking after meals, so like movement after your dinner will reduce blood sugar spikes and curb those late night cravings. So if you had to pick any time to go for a walk, go for a walk after dinner. So this week, if you're like an over exercise, well, if you're exercising every day of the week, this week is going to be about lowering the bar for you, but it's going to increase your impact. And if you are currently not getting any movement at all, like not getting any steps, not going for walks, this is going to be raising the bar. And again, we're going to raise that impact. So we really just want to support ourselves in ways that feel gentle. And that is what true wellness looks like. So here is your activity, your action step for the week. Take a 10 to 20-minute walk after dinner at least 3 times this week. Track your steps using your phone or a step tracker, and then aim to increase 500 to 1,000 steps from your current average. And then here's the thing. We want to celebrate the habit. We don't need to celebrate perfection. We do not need to have perfection on this. It's just the habit, and it's slowly increasing. And remember, if you start to get down on yourself for not being perfect in this area because things are happening, it's busy, it's summer, remind yourself, it took Nicole a year to get this habit down. So it's okay if it takes you a year. Honestly, it's okay if it takes you 5 years, because remember, again, the goal is in 5 years, we have better habits than we have right now. In 1 year, we have better habits than we have right now. This isn't cram it all in and do it right now. We're just looking to make slow, incremental, gentle, sustainable changes so our health and our body can be better in the future than it is right now. This week, I'm going to be posting in the Facebook group. Watch for the posts. I'm going to be asking you questions about your favorite place to walk and what you like to do and what you like to listen to. I'd love your engagement there. So, and if you have any questions, post them below this video. And I look forward to seeing your feedback this week. Have a great day, guys.